Welcome to the Teardown Show.
Welcome, everybody. This is our very first video version of the Teardown Show podcast. Michael just happened to be down in San Francisco. I said, what the hell? Let's set up the Dave Spark office studio and do a video version of it. Now, if you're listening to the audio version, if you go to teardownshow.com, there will be a link to see the video version of this if you'd like to see the two of us on camera. If that idea scares you, just keep listening to the audio version of it.
It scares me.
Is it? Are you excited that are you excited we're doing a video version? The other thing is, this is all new for me because this is a new camera that I bought. This is a new setup with lights and everything. I got the mixer board. I got you on both of us on the microphone. So, what do you think? Are you happy about this setup?
You work in video all the time. I'm just an audio guy.
Yeah.
So this is like intimidating. I have bright lights in my face.
Now, to the viewer, it just seems perfectly normal.
We have to get crammed together, so we're in the camera. This is like very odd for me.
Let me tell you, this feels odd, but when you see it on video, it looks completely normal. This is the big thing that a lot of people don't understand. It's like when they set up like interviews, they put people in overstuffed chairs. A big mistake. And so while it's comfortable normally, it looks weird on video. Okay. On video, this looks normal. I know it feels weird, but it looks normal.
And then I have the mic in the hand. Like I want to be lazy and drop it down here. But
No. You don't know. The audio's going to stink.
Keep it up.
Keep it up there. Keep it up there. The audio stinks if you drop it.
David's a pro. I'm just faking it.
Well, we'll see how good this comes out and whether I'm a pro or not. Anyways.
And we have someone on the other side of the camera?
Yes, we do have someone who happens to be my wife who is doing an awesome job here, and I'm assuming we're still recording. All right, so let's get. Why were you in town in San Francisco, Michael?
I came down to go to an event. There is a company called Securify. They create this home router that also has home automation, smart home in the router,
built into the router,
built into it. I came down to hear about the launch of their
They're a sponsor of your event, the Smart Kitchen Summit, too.
They are a sponsor, but that's not why I came down. I wanted to because they're in the space I follow. I also had I knocked some meetings out while I was down here,
and you got a chance to come.
I'm experiencing the full David Spark experience.
This is a full experience.
You gave a ride to a friend, and they said, "Are you also doing the David shuttle?" Or
there's a Dave Airbnb.
Yeah, I said, not only am I doing the shuttle, I'm doing the Air David or David B&B because I'm staying at your house.
Yes, so. And in fact, you can look into the guest bedroom from here as well. All right, I'm sure this is boring everybody that's watching right now, but we're excited that we have finally started doing this, doing the video. And I would love, if this comes out well, I'd love to do a lot more. It's just you need to be here more often in San Francisco. But let's hold it. I wrote down, where did I put my stories? Should we just jump into the stories? You know what? Before we do that, one of the things we wanted to talk about is what makes a good launch event. You've gone to a lot of launch events in the tech sector. Companies that are showing off their new products are launching their products, and so you've been to a bunch. We went to one.
Is it weird that you won't see this? I took my shoes off.
Well, I noticed the whole chair was wiggling when you did that. So hold on.
Joey can now see my socks. I feel kind of exposed.
Yeah, nobody sees that because it seems waist up. Anything you do, you could be pantsless right now. No one would know. My wife would know.
What makes a good launch event?
So I'm going to ask you. What makes a good? Don't ask me. I asked you first. What makes a good launch event?
Well, I think obviously like entertaining content. Like you have to have good speakers. Maybe have like an interesting demo. I haven't been to that many launch events, quite honestly. Like you're asking, like I'm not this authority.
Well, you've been to CES, and pretty much the whole event is a launch event. Yeah. No, I think the bottom line is you have to. The key thing for a launch event is you got to have people there, bodies there.
Yeah.
But more importantly, you have to have a demo that you can do in 30 seconds that works every time. That people say wow when they see. I don't care. That's you have a demo. It goes in 30 seconds and people go wow. That's all you need for a good launch event.
Well, I mean, if you're launching Soda Pop, I mean,
if you're launching Soda Pop, you're giving out samples and they can drink that in 5 seconds.
So yeah, it depends what the product is. But you're right. You need something that kind of wows people.
I've been
but
to.
what if you have a launch event and your product really sucks? Like that's kind of the elephant in the room, right? Like,
Well, maybe you shouldn't be having a launch event.
maybe you should go heavy on the entertainment and get like a lot of attractive people there because your product sucks so bad. Maybe people won't notice.
I think you've got a bigger problem than the launch event at this point.
Did you see we could head on into Silicon Valley talk right now, but the Alcatraz party, like that was kind of the.
Oh, on the show.
Yeah.
I've actually been to an Alcatraz party.
You actually went to a real Alcatraz party.
I went, and it was for a video game about villains.
I thought that was like I didn't know they actually did parties in Alcatraz.
I did. Well, not only that, I had brought a date to it, and it was one of the worst dates I ever had.
Did that have anything to do with Silicon or with Alcatraz, or was it just a bad date?
No. Well, first of all, the whole thing is doing a party on Alcatraz. You know how like, hey, if this party sings, let's get out of here.
Yeah.
You go to a party on Alcatraz,
you're stuck.
You don't go anywhere. You're stuck until they get the boat to take you back. And we found out just at the point we got in the boat that we weren't going to get back to like 10 or 11. She had like an early thing to do.
You're in a date prison.
Yeah, well, she realized she had to do something at 5 or 6. And I said, please get off the boat. Get off the boat. If you're that concerned, just get off the boat. She said, no, I'll stay. And then that was
She complained the whole time.
That was the biggest mistake she made because then the whole thing, and there was a lot of, there was a fight in a parking lot when we got back, which I don't remember anything about, but it did not go over well. But she won one of the prizes. They had like a raffle, and she won this. She's not a gamer, and she won this like elaborate gaming keyboard that she gave to.
How long ago is this?
Well, before I even started dating my wife.
I hope so. Because we were just talking. We met 10 years ago. I don't know if we've ever talked.
I don't know. Was I dating?
I don't.
Joy, because
we've
known each other
10
for 10
years ago at a CTIA, which is the big wireless conference in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And there was a mobile social network that was having a party.
Called Blue Pulse by this guy Ben Keegan, who went on to make Chomp, which got bought by Apple. So very smart young guy from Australia.
Yeah, you still have the T-shirt. I lost my T-shirt
because I think it's a great T-shirt. I wonder if Ben still has a Blue Pulse T-shirt.
For a while, because Gigome was having all these like events, I would literally have I'd come home with like 3 or 4 new T-shirts from every Gigome event, and I realized my wardrobe consists largely of really crappy vendor T-shirts, so I've kind of moved away from that whole genre. So
you're not doing
outerwear. Yes.
Well, you're not wearing a
my
T-shirt
wife,
now.
I think my wife is complaining. So that's a good
all right. Shall we get into the stories? Do you have some stories yourself? Or are we going off of my stories?
I have no stories.
You have no stories?
I'm going off of Dave's stories.
All right. So Facebook, you must have seen this story. The Facebook is now favoring, and this is not new news. This is what I find odd, but it's like covered everywhere. Facebook is recommending your friends and family, the content that your friends and family share over content from news publications. Did you see this? They changed their algorithm again. This was actually, they did this before, and they're doing it again. So the news is what they told you before that they were changing algorithm, they decided to do it again to make it even a more severe case of what they said before.
I mean, are they trying to, do they have a reason behind this? Have they explained it? Do they
Yes,
think that,
they want you to spend more time on Facebook.
but
all the news outlets are
But do they
furious.
assume you have the same interests as your family and friends? I mean, that's probably a logical assumption.
Well, so the news outlets' argument, very, very valid, is, well, what is now they're going to see as news because they know that Facebook is very critical to all these media organizations getting traffic. And now the only way they're going to get traffic is, A, they buy it, which is a technique that Facebook is pushing towards, and anything that sort of increases their profit is a good idea for Facebook. Or they create content that is clickbaity enough that people will want to share it. And so therefore it gets distributed through everybody else's channel. So those are their only options. And now it's saying you have to, you remember when we said you're going to have to do that, either make it more clickbaity or pay for traffic? Now you're really going to have to make a decision on that. So Facebook's decisions are really affecting the media landscape, affecting how media decides what they're going to do.
They did the same thing with political viewpoints where they would allow you to, or they would basically, if you're liberal, it would reinforce that by showing you largely liberal headlines. If you're conservative, it largely surface up the conservative headlines. So I don't know why they're trying to keep the flocks of the same kind of, like they're bringing your family, they're bringing your political stripes in. I think it's weird.
Let me read a quote from The Verge, and I thought this was apropos. Facebook would rather rely on signals such as how many comments is this story getting and how quickly are people sharing it than on editorial guidelines that attempt to sort stories by their significance. Which, that's the thing. There are going to be significant stories that get out there that are not going to be seen on Facebook because no one wants to share them. Now, I would argue that that's not always the case because if you look at the most like emailed stories on NPR, they're usually a combination of important, significant stories and, human interest type stories. So my feeling is people do end up sharing those kinds of stories.
Yeah, if it's a good story, it's going to get shared. I feel like Facebook's algorithm isn't going to determine or always kill good stories.
So my next story is, I love this because it's related to it, is Fox News is the most engaged site on Facebook. Fox News gets the most comments, likes, involvement. Their audience is extremely engaged with Fox News. So I've got theories behind this one.
We're wading in dangerous territory here.
So why do you think that's the case?
I think it's more of a monolithic, kind of singular news industrial complex for the conservative side than there is for the left.
Mm-hmm.
And Fox is kind of epicenter of that news industrial complex, along with right-wing talk radio.
So here's my main theory why I think this is the case. A good percentage, and I heard Mo Rocca, if you remember, he used to be a correspondent for The Daily Show. He said that half of the viewers on conservative talk, half of them are liberals, and they hate watch it. This is not true the other way around. People do not hate watch.
That's a lot of hate watching.
That's a lot. But
but
here's my rationale why it's so engaged. Is that the people who are commenting are both the people who love Fox News and the people who hate Fox News. And if you get the two divergent sides in some type of argument, that is sort of increases the engagement. So that's my theory of why we're in the pot.
Who have you, and I'm pointing at you, who hate watches? That's a big waste of your life. If you're
I don't hate watch.
You're spending that much time hate watching. I don't believe your theory. I feel like there's not that many people that spend and waste that much of their
Seriously,
life.
how many, have you heard Dr. Laura before? That radio show?
Sure.
There's got to be a very high percentage of people who hate listen to that.
Yeah, regardless. So say I don't like her. That doesn't mean I'm going to spend hours and hours and hours listening to her, hate listening.
Well, the same thing with Tom Likas, that radio personality. He's a lot of hate listening to him.
That's a lot of pain you're inflicting on yourself if you're hate listening or hate watching that much.
All right, let's move on to the next story. That's my theory of why it is. I would like our listeners or now viewers to comment if that's the case. So Uber is now tracking driving telemetrics for, quote, safety reasons. And I argue it's to cover their legal behind. So what they're saying is if you are an Uber driver, they will track if you're going, by tracking, the gyroscope on your phone and your location. If you're going too fast, if you're braking too hard, if you are using your phone while it's in motion, your car's in motion. So there's a lot of things. Now, they're saying that you would not get fired because of this. They would not use it against you. And they would also, they're saying it's solely to make people better drivers. And that is such PR BS speak, if I've ever heard it.
All right, I'm going to log a complaint right now against Uber and Lyft. I was in downtown San Francisco today, and I had to be at my event at 4:30. I started calling Uber and Lyft at around 4:10.
By the way, you were at your event. Did you feel you needed to be there at 4:30? This is the other thing.
I didn't.
Oh, it's people say, "Oh, get there a half hour in." You get there, and they're like, they have nothing for you to do. You're there just collecting dust.
Yeah, I didn't need to be there. But here's a problem with both the Uber and Lyft app. Maybe this is a San Francisco issue. Both of them.
I've yet to use actually either app.
Both of them said for about 10 minutes they were 4 minutes away. I called them twice.
So you ordered two cars?
Well, I waited for Lyft for 10 minutes, and it didn't move. The dude literally didn't move. I was watching the map, so I pulled up Uber, ordered Uber.
Did you cancel the Lyft ride?
I canceled well, actually, for a while, I had both open, seeing which one is moving faster, and I was ready to cancel one. Ended up canceling both because both of them took so long. And then I ended up walking to my event, and this is downtown San Francisco. I had to go from 6th down to 2nd, which isn't that far.
So did you seriously called an Uber to go from 2nd to 6th Street?
Well,
everyone who's watching and listening, do the math. How far away do you think 2nd and 6th Street is?
Blocks. These blocks are not like 1 minute blocks.
It takes you max.
Listen, I was in a hurry. I thought I had to be there in like 5 minutes, so I ordered an Uber. Thought I'd pay $5. Waited 15 minutes and said, "Forget it." Walked and I was like 10 minutes late. Believe me, I was mad at myself that I did this whole thing. But the question I'm asking is that I've never experienced this problem where the cars just don't arrive, and it happened in both apps. Is this a San Francisco issue?
I couldn't tell you since I've never ordered a Lyft or an Uber before.
Ever?
No, I haven't yet to do it. I've yet to do it.
That's weird. Like not even in another city?
Nope, I haven't done it.
Joy, have you ever ordered Uber or Lyft?
Nope.
All right.
Yet to do it.
Come on, guys.
All right, let's move to the next story. So, anyways, no, I think this whole theory of them tracking them is to check check their behinds, their legal behinds. Some more. All right.
I want to bring up an impromptu story.
Okay, and that is. Joy's been giving some directorial notes to Michael.
I gotta read it again.
Michael's not looking at the lens enough.
Okay.
Look at the lens. I told you at the beginning when we were doing it, sit back. When we started, I said, just look at the lens. That's all I'm asking you to do. Just look at the lens. The lens is your audience.
Don't look less at David.
Don't look at me. You don't have to look at me. Just look at the lens.
So, this is a story. I just caught the headlines. Did you see that there was the first death from a self-driving car today?
No.
It was actually in a self-driving Tesla.
Really?
And there's a fatality.
Ooh.
What are the implications of this? I was starting to think, okay, there's going to be all sorts of thought pieces, alarmist
So was there
headlines.
someone in the self-driving car?
I don't know the details. Like, I'm literally
So
talking about a story on camera.
But if someone was hit by it, then Tesla's in some serious legal trouble.
But here's the thing. If Tesla is going to get in legal trouble and get sued, get their pants sued off, every time there's a fatality with this new technology, they're not going to survive a year. So what happens? How do you determine whether or not this was, unavoidable? If a driver could have avoided this? I mean, how can a car company survive if they get sued every time? Because there's going to be lots of fatalities.
Like there are fatalities in normal.
When there's fast-moving metal objects, people die. That's what's going to happen. So.
When there were fast-moving metal objects, people die.
That's Wolf's Law.
That's a good quote.
That's Wolf's Law, by the way.
You know what?
Just
that's
going
to be the title of this episode.
Looking at you, Cameron. Wolf's Law.
I like that. All right, let's move on to the next story. Since you didn't read that story, you just saw the headline. Maybe we shouldn't spend much time on it. So there's an AI chatbot lawyer that has over 160,000 parking tickets. This in the past, I think they said 15 months or so. And now I can't remember because usually I'm looking at the news story as I'm telling this. But I just have some crib sheet notes. But 160,000 parking tickets, I think well over a year or just under, in London and New York. And it's interesting. There are certain legal proceedings that are so mechanical, and like if you've ever gone for a speeding ticket, they are very conservative about the words that they use and things like that, that they could be handled by a chatbot lawyer. So the kid who made it was 19 years old. He's thinking of some other sort of proceedings, legal proceeding type things that can be handled by a chatbot. I think it's a great idea, and many lawyers may be out of a job and be replaced by a robot.
Is it a great idea?
The manufacturers.
What if you're like the guy who goes, hey, we were going to get you like a public defender, but no, we're going to get you the chatbot 5000 to get you out of jail. Like, is that such a great idea? If you're the guy who's like going to go to jail with the chatbot 5000 as your legal defender, like.
Well, let me ask you something.
That's the next step.
Let me ask you something. Would you like to have? Here's a good question for you, Michael, and for the audience. So, do you know that there's some lawyers who truly spend seconds with a case because they literally have hundreds, if not thousands, of cases they have to go through, and literally when the person arrives, they're looking at it for the very first time. Would you like that lawyer or the chatbot 5000? Who would you prefer? The one that literally looks at your case the moment they see you and makes a quick, shoot from the hip judgment for 5 seconds, or the chatbot lawyer who goes through its entire database of information, scans all your records, and and fights your cause through that?
It depends how thorny and complicated my legal case is. If I'm like,
let's say it's a traffic ticket.
Oh, but if it's a traffic ticket, I'm okay with the chatbot 5000 because I feel like that is very. There's like.
But
there's
I would
like-
also be
there's like
happy
five,
with.
There's like 5 rules they can look
Well,
at.
I'd be also happy with the lawyer as well because
Yeah.
there's really not much they need to know about my case. Were you speeding? Yes. Can you get me out of it? Please do. That kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So I think the chatbot 5000. All right. So you know what I did when I left the event that you were at? I had to go to this other video event, and I tried on, I think what it's called, Viv or something like this. I tried a virtual reality thing with the
First time? Not your first time.
I've done some virtual reality, but this was a more immersive experience where I did virtual reality painting. In fact, I have video and photos of it.
Did you see your hands? We talked about how
No.
discombobulating
I
it can be.
held these 2 objects that were like painting tools.
Right.
They're pretty cool. It was pretty cool, and I created a 3D painting, which was wild, and then you could literally walk into your painting.
That's cool.
As well. It was very,
That's
very cool. So, I don't know if you know, are you excited for the Olympics in Rio?
I never get excited for the Olympics.
Well, it's coming up.
I don't get excited for the World Cup either.
So they are going to have something like 85 hours of virtual reality.
That's kind of
Olympic.
interesting. I'm actually more excited because of that than normal.
So, but everything's going to be on delay.
Can you get virtual reality Zika virus?
Well, I don't know if that's one of the events they're covering. So here's the thing. All the VR programming is going to be presented on delay.
Okay.
There. And I'm saying this whole Olympic VR is DOA because and it's going to start August 6th. But the thing is, the day after the opening ceremony through August 22nd, they're going to do 85 hours of programming. And only, get this, only Samsung Galaxy smartphones compatible with Gear VR will be able to access the VR content specific content section of the NBC Sports app. And Samsung customers can view the content if they're paying for it through the provider. So there's so many limitations to this. It's like a segment among a segment among a segment, and I think this whole thing is DOA.
It's always the business models and the executives that ruin this new stuff. The technology is always going to get there faster than like the business model. So it probably could be awesome if they just let the technologists create this awesome experience.
Yeah.
But they're going to create all these, like you said, these crippled experiences because they just want time delays and
there's time delays and you have to pay for a certain service and you have to have a certain product or you've installed a certain piece of software and you have a certain piece of gear.
Are you like walking into like a virtual reality is there like some guy's going to stop and say, hey, do you have your authentication? Like, is it going to be like a virtual reality policeman like that kind of stops you and makes you look up your password to your Dish network or whatever? It's like,
so one of the things I mentioned on the other episode is the fact that you can't have these goggles on for too long. I asked my friend when he owned the VR set that I was testing out, and I go, what's the longest period of time you've had this on your head? And he says about an hour, which I'm amazed by. They had a full hour. But yeah, I mean, I tried it on. I had it on for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and I was like, oh, that's cool. That's enough. Like, I don't even. And the thing is, once you experience the opening ceremonies in VR, you're going to just handle a couple of minutes and go,
it's
okay,
not
I got
normal. Like, I mean, it's proven that there's a word for the discombobulation that happens with your brain with VR. It's similar. I mean, have you been on those rides at like Universal Studios, like these immersive?
You mean shaking a box kind of a thing?
Box rides? Yeah. Like I've gotten, and I don't get sick from rides. I don't get sick.
Oh, I do.
I don't get seasick on boats, but I've gotten sick at Universal Studios from those rides because those things are not normal for your brain. Like your brain can't handle it. I imagine virtual reality is even worse.
Well, I was never. Do you play first-person shooter video games?
I don't a lot. I've gotten sick from doing that too much.
I can't. So I stopped years and years ago. I haven't played one now, but I'd only played the very first generation. Well, I didn't play any of that. You know what my game was? Castle Wolfenstein. So to give you an idea of the first version.
The new one was good.
I can't play them. I can't play them.
You never got a Halo or anything?
No,
like
I get sick. I mean, they make me sick. The darn things make me sick. All right, let me thank our listeners who are now watching, our listeners and our viewers. So I'm going to put this up on the video on the Spark Media Solutions channel, but the audio can be you can get that at teardownshow.com, or you can go to the Podcast One network or the Technology.fm network. We're partners with both of them. If you want to reach Michael via Twitter, you just go to @MichaelWolf, and you want to reach me, it's @DSpark. And you can email either of us at teardownshow@gmail.com. And I want to also thank some of our listeners who actually extended their condolences for the passing of friend of the show, my good friend, Bill Bigger. Actually, you know what I'm doing tomorrow? And I was thinking of this is because we talked about it. I'm inviting two good friends of Bill's to record I'm not going to say a podcast. It's just do a recording, an audio recording where we just talk about Bill.
Okay.
And then we're just going to put it out there for all of Bill's friends.
That's cool.
And then I was thinking, like, everyone should do this. Like, just put out a recording telling stories about Bill. So that's what we're going to do tomorrow. And, like how we met him, just stories about Bill and stuff like that. Do you have any media recommendations? Any media? We were talking about some media on the way here.
I've been enjoying the new season 3 of the Startup Podcast. And what I like about it this year is the season is they're doing. They're not going and tracking one company for an entire arc of a season. They're doing multiple companies, and I really enjoyed the first 2 episodes that were talking about Twitch. Which
that was fascinating. That was fascinating.
The company that was Justin
I
TV.
didn't realize Justin Khan.
You didn't know that?
Was Twitch? Yeah, I met Justin many times.
So So
when he was
it's really
doing
the story
Justin
of Justin TV and then Twitch, and it's pretty good. So
yeah, from a failure to an insanely successful.
Insanely successful.
Talk about great. So I got 2 media recommendations. One is a video that we produced, and in fact, my partner, wife, and business partner, Joy, did the graphics for it. I went to the 3D Web Fest conference with Joy, and we shot a fun video where I asked people, what's wrong with the 2D web? Why do we need a 3D web? And there's a fun video out there. So if you go, I'll put a link to that.
Were a lot of people saying the same jokes? I would imagine there's a joke there that people go to.
If you watch, there is a closing joke in the video, so watch it.
But is there the joke the standard joke that everyone goes to?
I don't know. What do you think the standard joke is?
No, I'm not in the 3D web business, so
there's no standard joke.
Okay.
All right. So watch it. But then the other thing I like, are you a skateboard fan? Do you like skating at all? Do you watch competitive skateboarding like the X Games?
No, that's weird. I mean,
that's weird. What's wrong with it?
How many people watch competitive skateboarding?
I do. I enjoy it.
You watch that?
Well, I used to be skateboarder as a kid. I would not nearly have the skill that you see on TV, but I like to skate. I still own a skateboard to this day. I bought one as an adult. In fact, the day I bought a skateboard was the day after I proposed to my wife. She got a diamond ring and I got a skateboard.
Was this like a mini form of midlife crisis? Like, oh crap, marriage, I need to get a skateboard. I need to cling on to some
I don't know if
youth.
that was my first skateboard or the one I bought a second one because one had gotten stolen out of our garage, right?
I guess it's better than a convertible or an affair. Getting a skateboard
is a hell of a lot cheaper, I'll tell you that much. It's a lot cheaper. So the reason I mention that is because I remember when Tony Hawk landed this very famous move at the 900, essentially rotating 2.5 times around, going off the thing, 2.5. And Tony Hawk is my age. He's in his late 40s. And he was going to try to land another 900 again. So he goes into, this warehouse that has a half pipe, and he tries to do it, and they show all these failures. And here's what's amazing about him doing this. When I first saw him do the 900, which was amazing, and the crowd went crazy, and it's the equivalent of hitting the 4-minute mile and running. I mean, it was a big deal to land the 900. But everyone was cheering for him to do it. It wasn't so much a competitive thing. Like the whole industry was cheering for him to do it, and he did it, and it was crazy. And he jumped up and down, and they were and all his friends jumped on him. They were thrilled. I mean, it was a big, big deal. He does this alone with 2 or 3 people. They're videotaping it, showing all the failures. He lands it, and the moment he lands it, he pulls off his elbow guards and his knee guards, and he's like, "I'm done. I'm out of here." Completely different reaction. It was before it was I'm a young guy. I'm gonna land the 900, and it's thrilling. I'm with all my friends, and the doing it in his late 40s is all right, I did it. Let me get this crap out of here. Let me get in the car and go home.
Glad he didn't die.
No, and that was what the funny reaction is. Just his, all right, I did it. I can go. It was the attitude of, I did it. I can go home now. I just learned something new about this video camera, Michael. And I'm glad you're watching because I wouldn't have known that if we would have gone on. Is that this video camera has a 30-minute limit for recording files. So we hit the 30-minute limit, and we had to start it again to get this thing, because this is a brand new camera. I'm learning a lot more about this camera. I went and shot it tonight. I shot you interviewing some people tonight, and I will give you those files. That's the thing. After this, I have to give you those files. So anyway, so I think we time to wrap it up. Was this fun to do the video podcast?
It was fun.
Hopefully this all came out and it's going to look good and sound good. I have no idea.
It's a little bit weird experience, but all
right. Well, I think we did about so we did 30 minutes. So we did a half-hour show on video. That's great, and I'll put it up, and hopefully this will look interesting to somebody somewhere.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining us. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, and we'll have another episode next week. And enjoy. This will probably go out after 4th of July. I might be able to get this up tomorrow.
Yeah, the video.
Yeah, why not?
Let me look at it first. I'm not sure I wanted to go out. I want to see what I look like.
You look fine. Look, I'm going to copy the files over here. You'll take a quick look at it. Anyways, thank you again, everybody. And please, by the way, if you haven't written 12 reviews already on iTunes, write at least another 13.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.